Johnny's chest was a home from home. Sometimes he'd ask, "What's your favourite place?" And I'd say, "Your chest. Your chest is my favourite place." And it felt nice there for a while. In a kinder light, or on a higher plane, I knew I'd arrived on safer terrain, this urban landscape of skin I bathed in. Some days I'd project films onto Johnny and watch each muscle distort the frame, watch each breath make the characters move in weird directions, their bodies changing shape with Johnny's. And sometimes I'd laugh quietly as the credits rolled all the way up his spine and disappeared into his scalp. Gradually, I began to explore Johnny in more detail. Consider it an analysis of sorts, a study in human and animal scar tissue. I followed the veins in his arm like a map, white flesh sliding across the track marks, and I crawled all over his body like rocks, textures, pathways. Johnny's body was a narrative filled with subplots, subtext, intrigue. Sometimes I'd crawl around inside his mouth. Like a pig in a rape rack, I was locked in the frame of Johnny's smile, his teeth all uniform, brittle, all metal. But deep down, Johnny was a blue baller, a prick tease. And our journey broke into splinters when I reached the jet black ink of his tattoo. And so, a bloodless battle began, and this bond was ours to sever. On his left arm it read, "Winona, forever." After that, we drove in the dark for a long time, taking turns in the driving seat or the passenger's recline. Winona was silent, although we remained haunted. Both of us knew that the answer lay in finding this chemical girl, this alibi. It was a colourless journey at first, through discontinued production, through career slumps in the suburbs and so forth. But there would be moments when I'd look at Johnny, put my hand through his hair and say, "Oh, bliss, I could kiss sweet days like this." In the car, there were whispers. "Please come soon, Winona, please come home." 100,000 asthmatics in the back seat breathing shallow, lest the coma bug should catch, chanting, "Please come soon, Winona, please come home." Ghosts behind electric windows, whispering for Winona. Together, Johnny and I would steal. By that time, we'd steal anything we could get our hands on. Bricks, pregnant mannequins, flowers, misquotes from sitcoms. My friend, we stole each other's breath on colder winter evenings. We bled each other dry the fun way. And we lived underwater for a long time, the stolen air between our bodies going back and forth, like Zapruder filming Smiles for Dallas as Kennedy's head walloped back and forth, his brain scooped up like ice cream in Jackie's hands. A dead man's head and the frozen air between us back and forth. Over ground, this wasn't the path of true love so much as the litter-strewn field by its side. And Johnny would stand right there and piss in the greasy river, piss words so clear, words so clever. For those words always, Winona, forever. Johnny started to panic towards the end of our journey. "We'll never find her," he said, his face all crippled like instant nostalgia. "We'll never find Winona." Instead, he offered me a kiss, a pill, a wet, sizzling film still. Oh, my virtual fool, my special scar. We were young fools then. We were notes from a documentary, sipping gazpacho in amongst the skyscrapers, or standing still behind Venetian blinds naked, looking through West Coast glass at ocean waves lapping, gliding painlessly but recklessly towards Los Angelian anesthesia. And by then, Winona was wandering around on CCTV, posing as Amy Randone, or hanging out with JT, and Johnny and I became spectators in a courtroom drama. Outside there were audiences, all listening, passive, all watching. I turned to look at the tattoo on Johnny's arm, and instead there were only skin cells cleansed and clear. I asked him, what was Winona? But another shaved layer of skin, another removed tattoo. A girl glimpsed only through flickering pixels, trapped in images stored for a magazine world, images left floating like dead websites. A girl is torn and tagged as a stolen couture on her arm. A girl all glued together with Xanax, oxycodone, liquid Demerol, liquid diazepam, morphine sulfate, Percocet, Valium. All for Winona Ryder, a girl who rarely flutters her eyelashes these days. Johnny and I dissolved not long after, and a darker life beckoned, one spent sleeping in airports and dreaming of flight, dreaming of planes cutting high through these skyscraper dawns, dreaming of teenager days, reading The Catcher in the Rye or watching old movies in the barn. Scarred by the answers circumstance gave me, from candid to brutal, I traced the invisible steps towards the confession houses and wept, at last, for Winona. Once, in a theatre, Johnny leapt from the balcony and threw himself onto the stage, signalling and hollering for me to join him. But I stood behind the barrier, knowing that youth had just leapt away from me for good. And I think of him sometimes, and the laughter we stole in a 2-year frame. I think of Johnny and, like wildfire, he is still dancing. And so, for the hearts that still beat holy, and the dream horses they ride together, there is no goodbye. Winona, forever.